This exercise video, we're going to be going through a standard deadlift position using a hand weight. You can also use a kettlebell or traditional barbell if you want to, but right now I'm going to show you with the actual small hand weight. The weight you need to use for this exercise depends on what's been prescribed to you by your physical therapist. Today I'm showing you a 10 pounds, but it may be more, it may be less, just depending on what you have going on. So first we need to get the setup proper here. So with the deadlift, we're going to be usually a little bit wider than hip width apart. You can have your toes slightly pointed outwards, or if that doesn't feel comfortable, they can be straight on. You don't want them to be toeing in though. So either parallel and straight on or slightly out toward, and usually a little bit wider than hip width apart with your feet. Now, the other part here, we need to get tall through our spine. So think about lengthening through the top of your head. Engage your core, pulling that belly button up and in, and keeping this area of your body moving as one unit together, staying in neutral. With a deadlift position, this is different than a squat position because we're going to be using a bit more of a hip hinge to get into the deadlift versus a squat is a little bit more upright with our torso. So you'll see the torso drop forward just a bit with what we call using a hip hinge like this, which is not the same. So this is a hip hinge. It is not the same as doing this. So we're not rounding through the back, we're keeping it all stable, and all this motion is happening from here. Okay, so we're gonna get our weight. You can either hold it at either end or in the center, or a lot of people feel more comfortable holding it at one end here. So feet a little bit wider than hip width apart, toes slightly facing outwards or straight on, whatever feels more comfortable, and thinking about tall spine, core engaged. Now we got our setup here. The motion is going to be dropping this weight straight down between the balls of your feet, and you're going to be accomplishing that by hinging at the hips. So you're going to break here. So the first motion is your hips going back and your torso leaning forward, and then we're going to let the knees bend, touch that weight to the ground, and then come straight up. Drop down and up. You're keeping equal weight between your feet throughout this exercise, making sure you're not shifting one direction over the other. Now from the side view, same thing. Hip hinge to start that motion, start dropping that weight down, and then up. I'm keeping my spine as flat as I can throughout this exercise and this motion. So I do not want to see rounding of the back like that, but I also don't want to see overcompensation of arching your back either. You got to keep everything neutral and core really engaged through this motion. Now you want to make sure that as you're going to the floor, this weight is going between the balls of your feet, right in the center. You don't want it to be reaching farther away, and you don't want to be reaching behind you. You got to be thinking straight down. Make sure you keep that chin tuck and head in position here. That'll help keep your spine in neutral and that core engaged, and making sure you're doing slow, controlled movements. The last piece we need to add to this is breathing. So we're going to inhale on the way down and exhale on the way up. So inhale through the nose and lower, exhale and lift. Inhale and lower, exhale and lift. That will help make sure you match the core engagement at the proper time and avoiding any breath holding.